first? Or shall I start?
Okay, the difference between this album and the first one. Firstly, personnel are different. We have a different violinist this time. Serena was on the first album, and Tanya is playing on the second album. We've also have a new bass player since the first album, which is Eustace. Rex played wonderfully for us on the first album, along with Richard. And we have a percussionist this time, who's mainly on, as far as recording is concerned, is playing cymbals, and live he's playing with us, and we'll also be playing some percussion, hand percussion.
The other differences that I'd focus on really.
Excuse me to interrupt you. His name's Killian.
Must have
Must
forget
forget Killian.
The other differences that I would that come to my mind first and foremost are actually in the compositions. Compositionally, I'd say that we've really taken a massive step upwards. Thematically, sorry about that. I'm just going to put that on silent. Thematically, the compositions are more of a journey. Harmonically, the chord structures are more interesting. In terms of orchestrations, we've done some really interesting things. A lot of things emerged during the writing process, which meant that a number of the compositions are in what I've called a sort of suite form. So they go through a number of changes and they develop, and motifs come and go, and they develop the next time they appear. So I think from a writing point of view, from a musical point of view, the music is totally different actually. Although it retains the elements of the various kind of cultural influences that we have, whether it's Middle Eastern, jazz, classical, with a few other things kind of thrown in as well. So it's actually, and sound-wise, we've spent a lot longer on this than we did on the first album.
A lot longer. And I think also we gave ourselves more license to try things out this time, to not feel that we had to restrict ourselves to how the sound would be live. In other words, Mo just puts down one guitar track, I just put down one piano track and build it up like that as if it was live. This time we laid a lot more of the guitars, for example, steel string guitars in left and right channels, just to give more of a body of sound, just to make it fuller. And I think the results are really, really good. How long did the album take to make? It's an interesting question.
Well, it felt like about eight lifetimes to me. You've got to remember that I'm the kind of person who likes to do things relatively quickly, but quickly. So the fact that I started recording my guitar parts in July 2010, and it's now February the what? February.
We started planning the album.
Yeah.
Probably beginning of. Well, actually, end of 2009, we first started talking about it.
Yeah.
And then we realised we had to write material. We had some existing material that we'd gigged already, but we knew that we had to write more stuff. So we sort of spent 2010 planning that and trying to get musicians together, which was an impossible task.
Yeah.
Just to try stuff out and just do like a kind of preparation before the recording. But I guess we started recording properly in about July, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, we had a number of things happen during the planning of the album. We originally, if my memory's right, we originally talked about starting in January of 2010, having it finished by June 2010. But then what happened was we had a change in personnel. We had some people arrive on the planet, and some people leave the planet, and it kind of knocked some of the plans out of place a little bit. We had to find a new violinist, which took a little bit of time. So once those things were in place, and we had written some more material, we started recording. And as I said, I started recording some of the guitar parts in July, and here we are in February, and it's.
But we then had problems because I had a job on.
Yeah, that's right.
July until November.
Yeah.
And seeing as everything was being done in my studio and I was essentially recording and had to be there, it was really difficult. So we ended up sharing well, mostly Mo did most of his guitar parts in his place, some in my studio. Some of the violin parts were done at Mo's, the rest of them done here. So it was a bit difficult, and then because we were both working in Logic, which is software for recording, it's like a massive recording studio in your computer. So luckily Mo and I both use Logic, so he was doing recording in his computer at home, and then we were having to send the files via the internet to me, so I downloaded into my system, and massive headaches along the way. Unfortunately, we didn't have the luxury of being a band who live together and, you know, just have the luxury of spending 24 hours in a studio. We totally didn't have that project. What are the songs about, Mo?
Well, like, first of all, I should say that the songwriting process on this album was very different to the songwriting process on the first album. On the first album, we had most of the songs were written by me solely, and we had one song written by Kadir, and one which was a cover, and then one which was a traditional Jewish melody, which we rearranged. Going into the into the writing process of this album, I made it very clear to the band members that I would like everyone to be a lot more involved. So for the first time, actually, me and Mark wrote songs together. One of which is Tunisian Nights, I believe. And I wrote some songs with Chantel, Eye for an Eye, and the title track, One Ray of Light, which we all three of us wrote that together. I said to Kadir, do something. Do something that's just you. No one else on the track, just him, bringing his vibe to it and his culture and his sound, and he's done a phenomenal track, which is just all percussion and vocals, which you'll hear. But to answer the question a bit more directly, what the song's about, like most people who write songs and music, I don't really want to talk too much. I don't want to explain too much, because what's really great about music is that you bring yourself to it. Yeah. So your experiences and what you feel, you imbue the song that you're listening to with you. And because we're all human beings and we all effectively go through many of the same experiences, it means that you will feel the same resonance with what I felt when I was writing that song. But to give you, from a broad point of view, the reason that the album's called One Ray of Light, and that the title track is One Ray of Light, and that a number of the songs have a particular theme lyrically, is it's just really about hope, and about the idea that somewhere in the future lies a better day for all of us. And aside from that, I don't really want to say much more. Well, aside from a couple of them were written with specific people in mind, and specific events, both in my life and the lives of some other members of the band, actually. So it reflects a time of great challenge, and hopefully a time of great hope coming out of that challenge.
Difficult question to answer, always,
Yeah.
because it's such a personal thing.
Yeah.
We're really happy that we've got to the end of the process. It's been
very, very happy.
very long, very tiring, lots of very late nights. Although for me, also incredibly enjoyable, because it's all been in my studio and I love being here. I love working here. So there are times when you're listening over and over and over and over and over and over to the same piece of music, because you're trying to pinpoint frequencies that are not right, that you need to somehow take down. You really need sort of forensic abilities, because it's not as simple as just getting a group of musicians together and recording it. You know, oh, that it were that simple, but it's not. It takes a huge amount of editing. The whole process of editing really is, I think, what's taken us a lot of time. Also because we've recorded in lots of different pieces in my studio, in most, as I said before. So we've had to get all of that together and make it work and stick it together, and that editing process, which I love, which Mo hates, it's very time consuming, but at the end of it, it's really worthwhile because we've got a great result. We're
Yeah.
really happy with how the album's turned out.
Yeah. I think for me, how long have we got in terms of final thoughts? For me, the fact that as a team, obviously Berakah is a group of people who bring a great deal in with them as individuals and as musicians and as people. But between me and Mark, it was our responsibility to make the album work. And Mark's really great with all the kind of technical stuff and the really finely tuned, as you said, sort of forensic concentration that's needed.
I'm a keyboard player.
And I'm more of a kind of
We
sit
are
back.
the tech heads.
Yeah, and I'm more of a kind of sit back, blue sky thinking type person who comes up with these ideas. And in fact, actually, part of the process, you write a song, but it's not until you start recording it that suddenly you think, well, how about if we did this and how about if we did that? And on the album, there's a couple of times where literally I sort of jumped up and went, Mark, let's do this here, and we tried it, and it really made the difference.
It's usually taking a huge amount of audio on the screen and shifting it a little bit and messing up everything. But hey,
yeah, but it really worked.
Yeah.
So
most of the time.
So my thoughts are that the album sounds really great. We're very, very proud of it. The hard work that everybody put in has really paid off. But also that what Berakah is about is coming into sharper focus musically and as people and because everyone knows that we're not just about the music, but nothing that we do would work and people wouldn't respond to it if the music wasn't good. So, and there are challenging times ahead for all of us, and so it's important that people who respond to that challenge can focus their energies using music as a way of kind of coming to that place of focus. And so we just hope that people really enjoy the album and that that it in some way helps the process of bridging those gaps between people, which is what Berakah's always been about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. That's there, isn't it? Bye.